Hey everybody, today's going to be the 10th of May 2025. I'm Connor with Honor. We're going to talk about three things that I know very well. First of all is real estate. You can find that resource online, Santa Clarita openhouses.com. The next thing's fat loss. I went from 365 to where I am about 240, 250, and it took me about 7.5 months. I can tell you all about that. And then finally, artificial intelligence. So each show is basically broken up into three segments. You find the one you want. Usually each one's around 3 to 5 minutes. So just scroll forward. I'll be able to put those timestamps in the description so you can get to the part that you want. If you want to listen to it all, it's basically every day. It's an update about those three items, and hopefully you'll find some tips and tricks in there to get you on your journey. So if you are looking to torch off body fat and build muscle to increase your longevity, that's part of the show you're going to want to listen to. If you're looking for installing artificial intelligence or even understanding it, understanding those first principles that you need to know before starting to deal with it, or maybe you are somewhat of an expert yourself and you're wanting to develop AI intelligence into a business, sell different components to other businesses or onboard people, I can also help you with that as well. And then finally, of course, real estate, where I do help people buy and sell houses here in Santa Clarita, Greater Los Angeles, updating with the news and such. So let's get started. So the first segment today, if we're looking at the Santa Clarita real estate market, which we are, we have an overabundance of inventory, at least compared with months past. We have surpassed 730 listings on the active market for sale throughout all the Santa Clarita Valley. Track back less than a month and we had about 100 less than that. About 620, 630 is where we were running. What that means is we're seeing longer time frames to sell properties, but not by huge margins. We're talking 10 to 12 days differences, depending on sales prices. In addition, there are properties out there that are demanding a premium for them, but they have those special types of attributes. So you're going to have single family residences, which is typically 1 in 5. So if you're looking at a single family residence, even in the resale market, just like at new housing, you're going to be paying a premium. If you're looking at a house that happens to be on a cul-de-sac, again, another premium could be imposed as far as that listing price go versus the same type of house, same floor plan, same conditions, same tract, but on a through street. It's going to demand even the house of sac will actually bring in more money. And then talking about views, if you go look at new housing, premium view lots, those of course are more expensive. No matter where you're looking, usually the premium view lots in Valencia, depending on the price range of the house, of course, they can exceed $100,000, $130,000 just to get a lot that actually has a view. So if you have one of those houses as well. And then of course, RV parking is a big deal. If you are people in the world of having an RV, you will pay a premium to have a lot, whether it has hookups or not. Hookups are a benefit, but that's not too difficult of a venture to work on yourself in the future. But just to have a house that's outfitted with a lot size that allows for a full-size RV, a Class A motorhome, is actually a big deal without it having to be scrunched in or you worried about, chopping off the corner of the house every time you back that thing in. So these are things to look at when you are looking at the resale market, especially when you're trying to establish real estate as a home buyer. If you see something you like, it fits all your criteria, but it's outside your price range, you should still put together the comparables and make an offer accordingly. Don't let those prices stop you from making offers on real estate. And I've never understood, though maybe it's the real estate agent's fault, but they're basically saying, this is the price, this is what you need to offer. In actuality, there are some properties out there that happen to be exceeding the actual relative prices for those areas, even with these extra attributes. So what you do is just have your agent do their homework, or you can do it yourself online. Then, why would you need an agent, right? But that's a whole nother story. But I would just do your homework and then make your offer accordingly. And if you are coming in a lot lower than that listing price, you can justify it. It's very simple. I do this for my buyers all the time. So this isn't something I'm speaking out of school about. This is a very normal part of the real estate process. Somebody comes to me, they see a house listed for sale. I will tell them what I think about the price. No holds barred. I will show them comparables as if they were actually selling that property, wanting me to sell it. I'll give them all those numbers and I'll say this should be our strategy. And if it equates to offering less than what those sellers want for that property, that's great. I will put that together in the offer. These are the comparables we're looking at. This is how we believe your property stacks up with other properties that have sold in the last 180 days. So please have this Mr. Agent, Mrs. Agent presented to your seller so we can find out where they are with regard to my buyer's offer. And with that, you couple it with all sorts of wonderful things. You put it with a DU pre-approval letter, something that's very, very solid in the real industry that buyers, well, sellers should appreciate if their agents educate them as to what type of approval that is. Then you're looking at proof of funds and down payments. You're looking at the lender itself. Where are they from? Are they one of those online systems that's located in New Hampshire? Nothing against New Hampshire, but located in some other state, able to do loans in California, yet there are no boots on the ground people here, so that accountability kind of falls short. So me dealing with those people, because their time frames, well, not time frames, they're on Eastern Standard Time, we're on Pacific Standard Time. I inform my seller, listen, this is going to be a little bit difficult because they are 3-4 hours ahead, well, 3 hours ahead time. So trying to get them to answer questions during our time frames, we're going to have a little bit of a less than adequate overlap at the beginning and the end of shift day. But again, something to know at least going in. If that offer happens to be select, I should have been able to make a contact with that lender, talk to that lender, find out I really do know those buyers, because that's another thing. I was talking to some potential sellers the other day, and when I talked about the calling the lender part of my every single offer that's received, when I make that phone call to the lender and the lender is, yeah, John and Sally, it's not ringing a bell. That's not a good sign, especially if I'm holding a DU approval or some kind of really solid pre-approval letter that has the lender's name all over it, an introduction letter about their particular buyers and the ones that are seeking them to get financing. It's not a good place to be. Either the lender is super busy or they didn't do crap as far as getting these people approved. That's also something, throwing caution, worrying, being concerned, a red flag on the play, that sort of thing. So that's where real estate is currently. We are seeing the market take a little bit longer to sell listings. However, that it doesn't mean that the market is completely in a buyer's market. I don't see that happening just because we have less than adequate inventory for that to happen. For that to happen, it would have to have a doubling of the 700 active units on the market for sale. And that's not happening for a couple different reasons. First and foremost, the sellers out there wanting to sell, they got to get to that pain point. They want to really get out of California. And a lot of them that I'm talking to lately, it's a family issue. Everybody's left. Their kids have left. Their grandkids have left. So they're kind of wanting to go settle somewhere else. And although they love California, they have to be those first venturers out of the state. They have to be the ones that basically are going to drag their parents, drag their people with them. But the kids have already done so, and they really want to be with their kids. They really want to have the grandkids in their lives, so they're willing to jump ship and get out of California. That's the pain point, even though they have a super low interest rate at 2 and 3%, depending. They're not going to rent the house. They want to just cut all from California. And if you've been watching the political arena, it seems like there's a lot going on out here that makes that look somewhat attractive depending on who you are. Personally, love the state. I wish things were a little different in the political world. I wish there wasn't so much deceit and so much stealing, it seems, from everybody, misplacement of funds, which it's amazing how you can misplace funds. But anyway, that's a whole nother, the real estate portion of the show. Looking at real estate, whenever you're ready, just reach out. All you have to do is go to SantaClaritaOpenHouses.com. That's my system. I'll take great care of you. And if you have your own agent, please stay loyal. You don't have to jump ship every time some agent gets online and you're saying, oh my God, they must have scored top 10 for the best handsome, most handsome people in the world. You'll do that. Don't jump ship. Just move in, talk to your agent. If they are telling you things that are of a concern, if they're telling you things that you don't understand, and if they're maybe telling you things that might make those little short hairs, if I had them, on the back of my neck stand up, might be time to ask them for clarification. And whenever you do this, I wouldn't do it verbally. I would do it in writing. I would put something in an email. Listen, Jack, Jill, whatever your name is for your agent, reach out to them and say, listen, I talked to you today. I was a little bit conversation that we had. These are my concerns. Can you please explain them to me so I understand better? And then have your agent send you an email. If they fail to do so, then there's probably a problem. Like if it talks like a duck, quacks like a duck, might be a duck. So watch out. I'm Connor with Honor. Let's get into the next portion of the show. Fat. You're fat. Maybe you're fat. Maybe you're in time. I was fat for all of my life, struggled with it from when I was a kid, and struggled with it since I was a kid. I remember growing up, My mom always trying to lose those, 7 to 20 pounds, whatever it happened to be. And it was always a thing. She bought these candies, AIDS. I don't know if you remember them. AIDS, yeah, like the disease. I don't know if it was different. Maybe it was AIDS. They were little caramel candies, and they were supposed to help suppress appetite. That was the time that fat was looked at the villain when it came to getting and gaining weight, right? You eat fat, therefore you're going to get fat. That was the general idea back in the 70s and early 80s. And in fact, it's only just now in 2025 started to really, where they're starting to villainize, look at sugar as being the actual villain, which is completely true. So of course people say, well, everything in moderation. I don't know if human beings are very capable, very good at moderation. I know that I'm on a counseling group talking about fentanyl and opiates and those different types of addictive processes. With my ex-LAPD background, retired LAPD background, I can tell you that it's not easy to stop anything. Plus, you look at the fat world where I was for all of my life, plus 50 years, finally till I was able to get a handle on it and understand what I was doing to myself, not believing it, not wanting to go through the discomfort of maybe not eating for a day or two or missing a meal or two, which a lot of people are in that world. A lot of people are still under the understanding, or the misunderstanding, I should say, missing a meal is going to create a problem. You're going to start to burn off muscle. You're going to start to slow your metabolism. If you look at the studies that are done, if you're considering dropping weight, the way that I did is I started fasting for longer periods of time. I had to detach myself from the addictive nature of me. I was so addicted to processed food, anything that wasn't of basically the 5 varieties, which is basically meat, eggs, fish, vegetables, and fruits. Outside of that, into the processed realm, all the fast food, all the chicken McNuggets, all the milkshakes, all the ice cream, all the bread, all the pastas, all of these sorts of things, donuts, cake, pastries, oh my God. Everything was so addicted. I was in that nature where I was of a mindset, first and foremost, a very self-serving mindset. I told myself, if I cut calories, then I'm going to start losing muscle. Not that you could see any of the muscle. I was 365 pounds, had a 65-inch waist. I'll throw a picture in here. If you want, just go to, in fact, forget the picture. I don't like to edit. Go to SantaClaritaOpenHouses.com/365. SantaClaritaOpenHouses.com/365. And I'll put some fat pictures there where you can see where I was at my fattest and then give a comparison with today. And that's where I was. I was up and down, yo-yoing until I finally got to where I was tired. And I was starting to see physical manifestations of being incredibly fat. I had stored blood in the bottom of my calves. I started to not be, well, I couldn't bend over, couldn't tie my shoes, was wearing sweatpants all the time, and was just completely winded, even just from walking from the couch to the refrigerator. Not to mention trying to play real estate agent. That was really difficult. And when I was a cop, I always was able to buy bigger uniforms, but you know what? A fat cop in a uniform might be able to get away with a little bit, but it just looks, at the end of the day, it doesn't look good. It's incredibly unhealthy. And when you have that fight or flight type situation, which cops really can't fight, they gotta fight. When somebody comes at them, they can't say, whoa, 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 just let me out of this, I don't want anything to do with it. Or if they show up at a scene where you have an active shooter, God forbid, somebody in a school that's trying to take out kids, that's not the time that a police officer has the option to say, you know what, I really don't want to have anything to do with this, so I'm just going to wait outside because I really have put on a few pounds and it might be traumatic. If I get shot, I might not recover as quickly, or I might be an easier target than somebody that's in better shape. So I'm just going to let the better shape cops take care of this. That doesn't work. You have to go in. So if you're a police officer out there, my heart goes out to you. You're going to have to get a handle on it. And especially if you're fat because of some kind of a food addiction, which almost everybody is. You're eating too much of something too often, and it's creating this metabolic problem in your body. Could be if you're eating too much sugar, that's going to increase your insulin levels. So it's going to make you, of course, insulin dominant. So you're going to have a lot of insulin in your system, which is a storage hormone. We need insulin, so we don't want to get rid of it. But it is better to keep it at bay. And you do that by not eating the sugar and carbohydrates, because that's how the insulin gets activated to store different things that you've eaten. So if you're just eating sugar and carbohydrates, it's going to store the sugar and carbohydrates in the way of fat. But let's say you combine that with pizza is a great example. A lot of people love pizza. Pizza has sugar, carbohydrates, which isn't, the sugar's in the flour. The glucose is in the flour, just throwing it out there. So albeit people say sugar is the villain, we'll move further and say carbohydrates for a food addict create the problem. So the lower you can keep those numbers, the better off you will be. It's going to be a little painful at first if you're going to start cutting carbohydrates and you're going to start not eating those foods that have them and stick with those 5 basics I talked about, which is the meat, the fish, the eggs, the vegetables, and a little bit of fruit. But fruit wouldn't be the thing at all for me, at least, because there is a high content of that in fructose, which is sugar. And if you do a little research on that, again, do it yourself, you'll see that there could be some issues with that. Just look at the historical view of mankind. We always didn't have a supermarket full of bananas, grapes, oranges, all sorts of fruit any time of year that we wanted it. We didn't have that. We had to wait and also live in an area where that type of fruit was plentiful for us. And then just to get the fruit, it probably wasn't easy. If you're talking about things growing on the top part of trees like bananas, you're going to burn a couple thousand calories trying to climb that tree and get those bananas if you don't get chased down by some kind of lion or leopard or whatever ate people in that type of area. Understanding that is going to help you understand the process of maybe starting to cut back on certain foods to try to get rid of your addiction. Now, for me, it was the fasting. The fasting is what did it for me because I realized I could go long periods of time without eating anything and there was no problem. No problem. Besides the hunger, then that happens. Wait 2 or 3 days into a fast. After that, then it's just basically preparing yourself to be around other people that aren't going to share your opinion. Talking to other people if they ask about why you're fasting. In the Bible, it's great. It does talk about fasting, and it talks about when you're fasting, don't go in front of me, oh my God, I'm so hungry, I'm fasting, I'm doing such a great work for God. If you are doing it in a spiritual way, it says don't brag about it. Just wash your face and continue. I think that carries into the regular fasting world for dietary reasons and health reasons, because the first thing you do if people know you're fasting, they're going to tell you how bad it is for you. They're going to tell you that there's a problem. You're going to burn off all your muscle. Not that, God, that was such a big deal for me. I couldn't even see any muscle. I was so fat. How fat were you? I was really fat. 65-inch waist fat. And I couldn't see any muscle, but that was a big concern. That's a part of longevity too, muscle, retaining muscle. But when you're super fat, your body is making an overabundance of estrogen and it is stifling the testosterone that you make naturally. Good luck with the muscle when you're that fat. That's why it's so important to start to peel off that fat as much as you can. I found out that those longer term fasts, those water fasts, where I was just drinking water and black coffee over periods of time and then having good solid refeed meals, actually controlling my intake, not eating and gorging, not eating crap and processed food, but just eating stuff. And it wasn't easy, folks. This took practice. This took a lot of practice till it changed and I started functioning in the correct way to actually torch off a lot of body fat. And it works. If you're looking to do this, you can do this. Just follow me on YouTube. You'll be able to find the channel. It's At Home Muscle, youtube.com/@home-muscle, and you'll be able to see the videos that I put up there. All right, so finally, artificial intelligence, AI, the alien intelligence world. Let's talk a little bit about that. Of course, you got the Altmans out there. You got the Elon Musks out there. You got other people. What's the count on Facebook? You have cats that are putting together their different AI infrastructures. There's a lot of money there. There's been big news as far as whether AI with the Altman group be going to continue to go nonprofit or if it's a for-profit business. It's all about the money at the end of the day, unfortunately, and that's going to be the detriment to the development of artificial intelligence. It's all about the money, and it's all about who can get there first. Where is there? There would be AGI, or artificial general intelligence, or ASI, artificial superintelligence. What does that look like? We don't know. People don't know what that world's going to be when we have something in all areas of the world smarter than us. General intelligence comes in. And it's realistically like this. In the next few months, we don't know exactly when, there's going to be some aliens landing on our planet. Now, for the most part, we think that they're probably going to be good, but we really don't know because we really can't tell. We know that they've gotten here from a long way away. We know that they're much more advanced from us, but in the next few months, they're going to be landing on Earth. Hopefully, they're not going to be enslaving us and ruining us and wanting to do us harm because they want resources. We really don't know what they want. But what's going to end up happening is they're going to be here no matter what. That's where AI is. AI is that intelligence, that alien intelligence that's going to be arriving when to depend on innovation, different discoveries, and different smart people being discovered that actually have the secret to unlock how regular artificial intelligence, which is really smart now, it's about Einstein level. You get on ChatGPT or these other systems, you start to ask it questions. You see that it's pretty knowledgeable. It knows a lot more than I do in every area. And you can just go there and you can ask it questions, and maybe it knows more than you in those areas as well. It's great at coding. So right now, the coding skills and the people that have spent a long time in college, as I tried to dabble with that when I was much younger, those skills are now going to something that you could basically tell the system, tell AI what you want, and it will write all the code and complete the task for you. So that's how far that's progressed. What other parts of the world and society is AI going to take over as far as jobs? There are a lot of companies that aren't hiring anymore. AI is doing great at counseling and customer service, the medical industry, the legal industry. So we're not even to where this point that we can't see is. We're at the very beginning. And the reason why it's moving so fast is because people are very concerned that the group, the country, the society, whatever you want to call it, the first one that gets to AGI, artificial general intelligence, is going to be the one that's going to basically be able to rule the entire planet. So their alignment needs to be of a certain way. And you can argue this all day long, but you have an alignment with a religious organization out there that believes that the people that are members, true born-in, blood-carrying members of the religion, besides them, they are not, at the end, they need to die as a result of their program. Then to have them have the first artificial general intelligence, have that discovery, is probably going to be a detriment to everybody else that is not a member of that religion. So that's just a small example of how that can carry forward and create a problem. Hence, the big governments out there have removed all restrictions on the development, and people are moving very, very fast. Is there danger with this? Absolutely. Instead of us asking, should we, we're not. We're asking, we need to. We're saying we need to. We're saying we're moving there as quickly as possible. These are things to be watching for, and especially important for you to verify everything you're seeing online. I know I have people around me, and they'll be showing me different videos, or they'll even interact with me on my different AI channels on YouTube, and they'll be asking, is this real? Is this possible? And they'll actually have the president or somebody close to them or somebody on the left side or the right side talking as if they're really speaking about a certain subject, and it's not too far off where you might think that their ideals are, not too far off from their core ethics, but it's just enough to maybe sway a certain amount of people a little further and a little further and a little further still. That's the problem. Right now, if you look at the way advertising and marketing is, and I do this in real estate, my real estate business, but I don't do it at this point where you have the Instagram giving you 3 things you just love and 1 thing you hate. Basically dialing you in because it knows you, because it has all of your data, it has all of your secret sauce, it understands exactly how you operate, and it's incredibly smart. So by being that smart, knowing how you operate, having your playbook, knowing exactly what human nature is in every realm, and then using that to manipulate and market to you, that's where we are. So everybody's going to have to squeeze out all the money they can out of it. Instead of taking these systems and say, hey, why don't we use it to increase our lifespan? Why don't in the next 5 years we develop an AI focused system on taking the human body and creating the ability of the human body to completely reverse aging by a particular method or some kind of drug that's developed? Let's focus on that. Let's not focus on the next biological weapon that's going to end up killing off half the world. Let's not focus on that. Let's focus on longevity. Let's focus on curing and stopping all starvation. Let's focus on making food plentiful, turning the deserts and making them with the ability to produce food or grow crops in the desert. Let's look at these other things that are actually going to help mankind, humankind, become even better and also become, not racist, not sexist, not all of the things that we have these tie-ups with. We are smart, folks. We are creative. We are intelligent. The Da Vinci's of the world, the other people, the Einsteins, the Musks, if you agree, very, very intelligent people. But the problem is even at those levels of intelligence, there's corruption, whether it's power, whether it's money, whether it's sex, whether it's whatever it is. That kind of corruption by power is what's driving a lot of the AI movement. It's not to try for the betterment of society and make everybody in this world the utopia it could be. It's being put forward and driven to be able to pull out every single penny possible to be able to monetize it in the best way. And of course, the ultimate goal is to have that world domination, that complete power. We don't know what that looks like. Like I said, the next few months, whenever it happens, this alien intelligence is going to be arriving to Earth. For my sake and your sake, I hope it's not here to destroy and destruct. I hope it's here to help. And I hope when it arrives, it's going to be aligned in a certain way that it does pride and care about human life above everything. So if you have one country that has it and this country that has it, maybe it arrived at the same time, and this country says, let's kill off 1 million of these soldiers for this other country's military, this AI says, well, wait a minute. I think that's a stupid idea. Why don't I go talk to their AI and we can come to an agreement so we don't have to kill anybody? Who would have thought? Anyway, I take this from all the things I watch online. Mo Godwat, which is a fantastic speaker, one of the original AI innovators. This is something that we need to pay attention to. And I feel like that guy with the white robes that's walking around right before the end of the world, right before the cataclysm, wearing the billboard, the end is near, ringing the bell. It's important to see what's happening. This isn't just some other run-of-the-mill garden variety revolution. This isn't the Industrial Revolution. This isn't the agricultural revolution. This is an intelligence revolution. And intelligence, higher intelligence and planning and societal structure drove both those. And there was pretty substantial displacement. But when you're talking about an alien intelligence that is now 2, 3, 4 times, that doubles in capacity every 5.7 to 5.9 months, folks, we're close. We're close to something. If it's at an IQ, it's going to be double that any day. Any day it's going to happen. And you see, don't believe the AI developers out there, OpenAI, Grok. They're holding back when they have new models. I believe they're releasing them pretty quickly. It's not PlayStation 23 where they've already built it, but they got to get the money out of PlayStation 5 through 23 before they actually release 23. In some technological parts of the world, because of monetization, they've already developed some great things that we haven't even had an idea that they exist yet. But in AI, I believe they're releasing it pretty much as it comes. Just be careful. Pay attention. Learn about it the best way you can. I wouldn't pay for articles. I would just learn by using it. Watch some YouTube videos. Don't go out there and start paying for crap because people are trying to, that's the world, right? Monetize everything. I'm Connor with Honor. Sorry about that. Getting over a cold. I'm Connor with Honor. Thank you so much for watching. This is the Tricotomist Podcast about real estate, about fat loss, muscle building, longevity, and of course, artificial intelligence. Excuse my hacking. We will see you at the next one. Be well. Thanks for watching.